And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Eleazar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that they made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shem-eber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. Genesis chapter 14, verses 1 through 4, exegesis. Let's break this thing down. Genesis 14 records the first war in the Bible. This is the first record of war in the Bible. And because of this, it carries prophetic significance. The conflict isn't random. It reveals the great controversy theme, the great controversy of the war, which actually begins in Revelation chapter 12. Remember when war broke out in heaven, Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought? But that was polia, a war of politics, a verbal altercation. Here we have a physical altercation with the first war recorded. So we're going to break this thing down with earthly kingdoms striving for dominion, while Elohim's covenant line, Abraham, stands as a defender of righteousness. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. The battle is not physical, brothers and sisters. The battle is spiritual. So behind these kings were spiritual powers, foreshadowing the end time conflict between the kingdoms of the world and the kingdom of Yeshua. So notice how these kingdoms, these physical kingdoms that we're reading about, foreshadow the kingdom of Revelation, or universal Babylon. And the call of Revelation 18:4 to come out of her, my people. So the four kings, these four kings that we are reading about, Raphael, king of Shinar, Arioch, Chedorlaomer, and Tidal, king of nations, in Genesis chapter 14, verse 1. These four kings represent the ancient centers of power. So you have Shinar, which was representative for the region of Babylon. You have Elam, representing for the nation of Persia. You have Eleazar, which was a representation for Mesopotamia. And all these nations like a confederation of tribes under Tidal. This mirrors the pattern of end-time alliances described in Revelation. Notice in Revelation chapter 17, verse 13, it says, these are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast, speaking about the kings of the earth and the nations in the end, in our modern day context, that will give their power unto the beast being that nation, or Rome, or the Vatican, or Roman Catholicism. World powers unite in rebellion against Elohim's purpose. So Genesis chapter 14, verse 2, Bera, king of Sodom, and Bersha, king of Gomorrah. Let's break this thing down. These cities were already infamous for their wickedness. In Genesis chapter 13, verse 13, which we covered, elaborates on that. Their kings represent societies ruled by moral corruption, which always leads to oppression and eventual destruction. Remember, when you leave the presence of Yahweh, you automatically, inevitably bring about destruction. The conflict between these alliances symbolize the clash between kingdoms ruled by sin and kingdoms ruled by ambition and domination. Both represent rebellion against Yahweh, just like they did in the Tower of Babel. It's always been that mindset and that mentality, that Luciferian mindset, to exalt thyself above the stars of heaven, to be like the Most High. It's always that fundamental principle, or being the foundation upon which all of chaos and corruption is derived from. War near the Salt Sea, which the text calls the valley of Siddim. All these join together in the valley